I, 22F, do not want to continue my relationship with my abusive father, 50M, in my adulthood. I moved out of my abusive parents' home officially a year ago this month. Over the last year, I kept some contact, but it continued to be very toxic, so I decided to keep it extremely limited, like holidays and such, to better my mental health. He has now been contacting me in various ways with small talk over the last week or so, and I just have chosen to ignore them because I am not really interested in continuing a relationship like that because of the type of angry and anxious person both my parents make me. My mother texts me today upset that I haven't responded to my dad and we haven't talked since Christmas. A lie. I spoke with him 2 weeks ago because he needed something printed. Come to find out, they need me to take or move all of the things in my old bedroom. BC my grandma is moving in and they're giving me a few days to do it, and that's what my dad was trying to tell me, and my mom of course blaming me for the situation. Very typical of them. Like, if you need something, get to the point. We are not buddy-buddy. I'm annoyed because never ever, since I moved away to college in 2017, have I responded to one of his "how ya doing" texts, so why would I start now? I don't want a relationship with him, either of them really, and I've been super clear about that for years now, and they're just not getting it. I have an older sister who removed herself from them, but it was while the abuse was going on. I think they're not taking me seriously because they haven't been outwardly abusive like that in years and have chosen to forget it because they treated us awfully. How do I even begin to make that clear at this point? I am not interested in being friends or even really friendly until I get some validation for the trauma I went through. Too long didn't read. I do not want to continue a close relationship with my abusive parents and made that clear a while ago. They are not getting it and getting angry with me because I want to limit our interactions to holidays and birthdays because it is too toxic to keep them close. I am not interested in small talk. If it were up to me, I'd cut them off completely, but I can't do that at this point in my life. What do I do? Update: I sent them both a message explaining how I feel and how it is challenging to grow into adulthood with my trauma lingering over me without a resolution. My mom got immediately defensive and accusatory, not surprising. I just said I was sad she had so much anger in her heart, blah blah. She told me she wouldn't read my text, so I let her know she will not have a relationship with her grandchildren and will not be a part of my next chapter if she can't see why I am upset. If I know anything about my parents, it will likely continue to get worse and will likely start to involve my grandma, who is all about getting along, but fuck that. I am valid and my feelings are valid. I can't back down because then they will assume I am full of empty threats, but I'll be damned if I allow my future kids to be around abusers, and I will not force myself to be kind to those who hurt me and do not expect consequences. Thanks everyone for your kindness and great advice. Blood relationship is not a suicide pact. You don't owe them a relationship simply because you have their genetic material, or because they want one with you. If your life would be better without them in it, then cut them out of it. But know that if you do, holidays and birthdays may not be on the table, because if you don't engage with them on their terms, they're under no obligation to engage with you on yours. So if you really want to have them out of your life, go and get whatever you need out of the room that they are going to be putting your grandmother in, and then, be done. You don't have to have any communications with them that you don't want to have. You don't even have to explain it to them. They don't have to accept it or agree with you or even understand your reasons. You just communicate with them if and when you are prepared to, and not at any other time. It is your absolute right not to want contact with toxic people, even if those people are your parents. I don't think it's a matter of them not understanding that you want no contact, but more of a not respecting your limit issue. They have been abusive to you, why think of you now? Do not wait from them to validate your trauma, probably they never will. I am sure it must be hard for you to have to cut off your parents, but it is for your own good. I would suggest to say it clearly one more time, and, if they still ignore that, block them. So true. It just sucks because I know my grandma will be up in arms BC she just wants everyone to get along but she remembers the awful shit they did. Meanwhile he's allowed at my mom's family gatherings again as if he didn't try to strangle my mom and he didn't abuse my sister from 10 to 19. I think at the end of the day I'm pissed that a bunch of people who have no right to forgive him just did because he's a miserable sad old man with no friends or loved ones and I have to deal with that. I know I gotta let it go. Just don't know how. Don't. I haven't had a relationship with my toxic mother in 10 plus years. Do you feel it has bettered you? Do you have any kids? How's that going? Just curious for future reference. Why do you need validation? You know what you went through. I didn't need my alcoholic abusive father to claim his shit when I cut him off. I just did it. Go get your stuff, be cordial and do not engage, and then when you get home write them a single email explaining yourself. They don't need to agree with you. They never will. Don't waste your precious life on trying to get them to see it your way. Fuck yeah. I'm loving the edit and the self-confidence. Smile. I don't know if anyone else has mentioned this, but I want to remind you that if your parents continue to contact, harass you after you have made it clear that you want to go no contact, it is 100% grounds to get lawyered up. And unfortunately you may need to do just that. Abusive people need to be put in their place and victims deserve support. Hopefully it doesn't get there, but yes, I will definitely do what I have to at that point. I, 22M, had an argument with my 22F GF about neglect leading to her telling me she's deeply depressed because of quarantine. Apologies, this is gonna be a long one. For context, GF and I are both 22, been together for 2 years. Since the start of the pandemic things have been really bad between us, as I've been feeling underappreciated, romantically unwanted, and overall annoyed with my GF's behavior. She's been busy with school, and has been dealing with health issues while also being stuck in her house due to the pandemic keeping us stuck in our homes. She's afraid of doing it while either her or my parents are home, so our sex life has also been non-existent, but I have been understanding with that and am far more concerned with receiving affection in general from her than sexual intimacy, just because the situation's tough in that regard. I have been doing my absolute best to support her with everything, but in late December I began to really distance myself from my GF, as she was treating me objectively awfully. She tried cancelling our New Year's plans the moment I headed to her place, would only talk to me about her issues, and was incredibly cold whenever we did see one another. I took this to heart, because she'd been so cold. She does text me a lot, but again it's all about her. I just want to say that I have done my best to be there and help her with every single thing she's dealt with, but it felt like I was nothing more than emotional support to her. This has manifested to her ignoring half of the texts I send her when she starts the conversation herself, rejecting my offers to make plans, and cancelling the ones she makes with me for whatever reason. This past weekend she was sick. The plans we had for next Friday are now cancelled because of school stuff. That said, she reached out a few weeks ago to apologize and set things straight with me regarding her neglect, and I accepted her apology, but things never got any better. I woke up to her messages telling me plans were cancelled, and I told her I had enough of it and that I was incredibly annoyed because I felt like an afterthought, and she blew up at me. She told me she was trying her absolute hardest and called me out on not believing she is doing her absolute best to be a good partner, and told me being locked inside without any contact is killing her and making her more and more depressed. She also accused me of doing things like not responding to her messages or being uninterested, which I reminded her I experienced too, so I wasn't sure why she'd take it personally if she does the same thing when I talk to her. I told her I've been doing my absolute best to talk to her more since we had our conversation, but she said she feels like every time I reach out to her it's to remind her she's being a bad GF. I reminded her I try not to have the conversation with her because I know it stresses her out, but it's been 4 months of neglect in my eyes. She told me she's not going to be any better while she's stuck in the house and to just dump her if I'm not happy. So I asked her if she thinks she's gonna be better after the pandemic clears, and she said she hopes so. I reassured her I don't want to leave her at all, and that I'd wait for it to pass instead of leaving her at a low point. I asked her to be honest with me when she's too sad or miserable to hang out or talk, so I don't feel rejected, and she said she'd try, and I told her I'd try my best to reach out more. We both mentioned not wanting to end the relationship, but I don't know what to do if every time I reach out to her she thinks I'm calling her a bad GF, even though I can't stress how much I've tried keeping this to myself so as to keep peace while she's worried or stressed. I've been there with her through all her health issues, will keep doing so, and am happy to keep supporting her, but I don't think I should feel like a bad guy for wanting to not feel like I'm the lowest priority to my GF among all things. Any advice on how to help support her / outlook on the whole situation would mean a lot to me. Thanks. If you have any questions I'll respond, same with any details that come to mind that I might have forgotten. Too long didn't read. Confronted GF about not prioritizing me. She told me she's been like this because of quarantine and I make her feel awful when I try and communicate my issues because of her depression. Keeping the peace to avoid conflict is just going to create issues with yourself. It's not fair that you are not allowed to talk about your feelings without her getting upset. You are human too and experience emotions just as much as she does. This needs to be taken care of now. You can't keep sweeping it under the rug because eventually it's going to turn into resentment. She needs to learn to accept your boundaries and feelings without making you feel guilty for feeling them. Have another talk, and this time be firm with how you feel. It's your life and relationship too. Stating your needs is not an accusation, and it's a red flag that she treats it as though it is. Plus it seems like you've been through this cycle a couple of times now, where she promises to be more considerate / responsive toward you, but then doesn't follow through. Honestly, this doesn't sound like a healthy relationship at all, and I'm not sure what's keeping you in it aside from loyalty and wishful thinking. Sucks that she's depressed, but that doesn't mean she gets to make every conversation about herself and her problems. And it definitely doesn't mean she gets to jerk you around and drop plans without consequence. Honestly, if and when you decide that enough is enough, I'd expect her behavior to turn extremely ugly. This isn't to say you should stay, but that you should prepare. You're not responsible for her, and you deserve a happy, sexy relationship with someone who's enthused to be with you. I deal with several diagnosed mental health issues. So does my husband. Mental health problems are not an excuse to treat your partner like crap. She feels like a crappy girlfriend when you tell her these things because she knows she's being a crappy girlfriend. Telling her what you need is not making her feel bad, and it's completely unfair for her to say that. If she can't even give you the basic courtesy of not flaking on your plans all the time, she's not healthy enough to be in a relationship, and you will do damage to your own mental health and future relationship expectations if you continue in this with her. You don't deserve this, no matter what she's going through. I'm kind of in a similar situation with my BF. What helps us with that sort of thing is telling each other things we appreciate about the other. I really appreciate when you call me, insert nickname, it makes me feel special and appreciated, or I'm really proud of you for getting out of bed today. I know this pandemic has made it hard to be productive. Honestly, just pointing out the little things instead of only focusing on the bad, and when you do find something you need to bring up, because those conversations should be avoided. I'm sure you don't mean this in a negative way, but when you do this, I begin to overthink and fear this. I have noticed you making improvements in doing this thing we discussed a while ago, and I appreciate that effort. Can we agree on solutions that will leave us both feeling good about this? You are not a bad girlfriend, and it's not something wrong with you. I feel we just need to increase communication or something along those lines. Best of luck. My 38F partner, 42 meters, often asks me to do strange things to smooth things over with his daughter, 15F, when it's his responsibility. I've been very involved in their lives since she was 10 and I care about her very much. We don't live together but I'm there a lot and usually sleep over on weekends. We've gone on many holidays together, just to give you an idea of my role in her life. But my partner can be hard on her. He has high expectations and I've often heard him get very upset/frustrated with her, for example, for failing an important exam because she just didn't put the effort in. I understand his frustration, she's rather lackadaisical about many things. But he gets really upset and emotional, always thinking she's going to flunk high school and never make anything of her life. Once she was caught in a series of lies and he lamented to me that he thinks she might be a sociopath. No. Just a dumb teenager. Honestly, I'm tired of all of it. A bad mark, or whatever the issue happens to be, can send him into a funk for days. And he, as mentioned, gets really upset with her, so there's all this angry tension. If this only happened once a year or something, I could deal with it. But it's happened 4 times in the past 6 months. I don't like how he handles stuff, but she is his daughter and it's up to him how he deals with things like this. The part I really am not sure about, he will ask me to take her out for a drive, or out to lunch, to tell her that he loves her, that he's only hard on her because he loves her so much and worries about her. If she's upset with him when she goes home to her mom's, he will get me to text her to smooth things over. I don't want to. I feel like it's his daughter, he's her dad, he's the one flipping out about issues, and she's the one having these issues. I don't always want to be in the middle of this stuff. But when I say I don't want to, he says please, please, please. She's the most important thing in his life and he doesn't want to screw things up even more. That she'll listen to me. Whether she listens or not, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure she doesn't like when I do this. She never opens up to me, just says it's okay, I'm fine. Obviously isn't interested in talking about it. I always end up feeling awkward. It just gets tiring. Is this normal? What would this behavior even be called that he's displaying? It seems very childish, but I don't have my own kids, so I don't know if this is a thing with parenting. My parents never did it. Too long didn't read, partner gets overly emotionally upset over bad marks, minor lying, missing curfew, and then begs me to be the third party to smooth things out with his teenaged daughter.